this one here. Okay. Door, I can see. Hold them right there.
I'm popular, and I don't want to be that popular.
Right. Okay. That's okay, thank you.
Mrs. Rome asked me home to see the Foley's cheers at 9 o'clock. So, your request, it's done in an hour, which we'll do. Before we get going, I'd like to take time to introduce a couple people. First of all, Mrs. Jones, who will be coming to our basketball next year. She had no great experience with her here. Mrs. Jones, we stand up. I think next year, the juniors and seniors next year don't know that they're going to be on ESPN because he's taking over as Mr. HD. I'll tell you, he went to the regional, the state. Some of you have not seen the videos of the Garfield game and such. He's right up there with Ventrella and whoever else. And we'll be on ESPN next year. So thanks a lot, Mr. Kendall. Did a really good job. Finally let somebody come with the Braves on either side of house and home. This guy's doggy bag here. Mr. Strickerts, Mark Strickerts. If you don't know who Mark is, every one of these kids from the time they were 8 years ago, Mark has opened gyms and back teams and really has helped every young man who's been associated with basketball here at Bethel. Has a little saying, he says, if you're not shooting, somebody else will, and if you don't shoot, if you meet that guy, you'll beat him. That's not right, but I know every one of these guys out here can tell what it is. But Mark, thanks a lot for everything you've done. So Mark, we're not going to play the Seahawks tonight, so they're all here. The next one is the one right next to him. He is double duty now. He took the girls' job and not a lot of success. Came right back to the 9th grade boys' job. A lot of success, and we're talking to him just staying with the 9th grade job. He is going to really help Bethel because of the fact right now I won't have to worry about anything on the 7th, 8th, and 9th grade level as far as Bethel Junior High goes because Mr. Allwood will make sure all that stuff is getting done. And he's done a lot of things for us. So, Lloyd. We have a young man that, I tell you, if we had all our people like this, cheerleaders would go crazy. Mrs. Harrison, in the background, needs a special thanks because I know it's really good. Well, you have a lot of fun, I know that. Todd, he screams and yells. Tells referees things I can't. It's right down there, and they won't tee him, so he's great. I'm going to put things in his mouth next year. Especially when these guys come in between Todd and myself and get a little spotty. So, Todd, Mrs. Harris, thanks. Of course, we know Tiny Swift, and Tiny made the cake, plus kept the beefcakes, nice and happy, all there in the resident districts and such, with cinnamon rolls and everything she could possibly make. She spoils them. Thank you. Cheerleaders, first time we've had this many. They always had a standing joke. They always come, hey, there's 8 of us tonight. And it's kind of a joke to see if they had 8, 7, 6, 5, 4 cheering at any one game. But those 6 were always there, and the 6, plus the other 2 did a good job. Hey, all the things we did after the field game, we went around to all the houses. That was the game that turned our season around, and you have a big part of turning our season around. So, cheerleaders, thank you. Next to them, I will not have her job. advance did a really fine job with the cheerleaders. So Gail, we have somebody else. We wish we could have her all the time on our bus rides. Eunice, where are you? She's our good bus driver, plus the other one, Darlene David. They got us there safely, soundly, quickly, with none of this stuff on CDs. Some of these people, I think it was their hobby to get on that thing and go down the freeway in a convoy and talk. And she got her foot to the floor and got us to red across the grass parking lot. And do this thing. And she only had one bus trip for us, but she didn't miss a game. She took us to Redding, but she was at Auburn, she was at Vancouver, and then she was in the Coliseum, she was in the games here. So we had her one time, but she didn't miss any games. In fact, she would go down to Vancouver by herself. Okay. And then we have Mr. Frost. He would scout for us, and he had like a five-page dialogue of the team we were playing. Looks like Paul and I are kind of simple-minded. All we want to know how many guys put on the court, where they're playing, just things like that. And he really did a great job for us. We knew more about the teams that we were going to play than we knew about ourselves. He did a great job for us, Mr. Frost. Person right now, and then she is going to give the last award tonight. She has probably every student goes to Bethel at one time or another, running into Mrs. Clemens, and she teaches careers, and she truly has a really good feel for everyone that comes in there. She really truly likes not just students, but likes the Bethel. She went to Bethel, I believe, taught at Bethel the whole time. She's truly a Bethel person. And so let me please stand up. With that, I'll give you Coach Ball. Coach Ball is going to give out the KB award.
Okay, before I begin introducing the kids and their accomplishments this year, junior varsity season, I also have some people that are special I need to thank in connection with the JV program. We also had cheerleaders who were very faithful this year, and they were at all of our meetings, home and away, and did a nice job. We do appreciate that. We had statisticians that were consistent, and we could count on to be there. And that was David Iverson and Cindy McNally, who were both there. And I had a scorekeeper this year who's here tonight, so I can actually have someone stand up. And he also, something about Robert. Robert was so good at keeping score that we asked him to continue on to our postseason play with varsity. Robert's undefeated as a scorekeeper at varsity level. And had he been available, I don't remember what game it was, he missed a bus. And sure enough, we didn't win that night. But anyway, Robert was a big help this year, did a great job. So Robert, you can stand up. I'd also like to say thanks to the managers, because not always are the managers sometimes look at the junior varsity part of our program as being something that gets in the way of the varsity games. This year's managers were very good in how they handled us at the junior varsity level. We really do appreciate that. I see Andy's here, Vernon here. Right there. Vernon and Andy, nice job. Finally, at the junior varsity level, most of the kids usually are sophomores. Very few of them are able to drive and transport themselves to and from the gym. And at this school, our basketball program We're here all the time. So the parents at the junior varsity level, oftentimes you're asked to put out a little bit more of your time in that type of way. So I'd like to really thank you for being so cooperative and so all the parents for themselves and I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, I'll try to briefly go through our season. It's been 6 weeks since we played a basketball game, so any of you guys need to add, help me out, feel free. This year's JV basketball team was the best basketball team in record-wise we've had at Bethel High School since we've gone AAA. Best South Through Sound League record that the junior varsity team in Bethel has ever achieved. We were 17-3. The losses, and I think the kids would agree, all came on nights where we did not play very well. And it was unfortunate that those nights happened to match up with fairly good basketball teams. Other than those 3 nights, I can't pick out a game where we didn't play some excellent basketball. It was a fun team to watch. We ran the floor well. Seemed to, and maybe this is something that's going to become habit for me because I watched it at the junior high level. But it seems that our program is going, shifting towards a running transition type of a program. And these kids definitely have that type of game. Got up and down the floor very well. They were only out-rebounded out of 20 games twice. And both of those times, we were all out-rebounded by 1 rebound each time. And so they're outstanding rebounding team. I feel that was the key to our season. When we rebounded well, we played well. Above what we accomplished in our games, the JV team makes a great contribution to the program in practices. Whereas many basketball programs, they have a varsity which practices separate from their junior varsity. In our program, we don't. Our junior varsity, during practices, provides a team to play against for the varsity. And in past years, that hasn't always been a very competitive practice. Sometimes when we worked on press in the past, we put 6, 7, 8, 9 JV players on the floor before we had a press that could compete with the varsity, make them work together the floor. This year, until we had to play guard field, we never asked more than 5 kids to be on the floor in order to compete with the kids at varsity level. And I felt very good about how we practiced during the year. When they came to practice, it was like we were playing a game each day, and one was the varsity. And they really went after the kids at varsity level. I think that makes our varsity players better. I'm sure it does. In addition, I believe because of that, the JV programs begin to take on more importance in the whole picture here at Bethel. And I feel good about that. In addition, with this team, beyond the kids that played all the time, this team, one of its real strengths was the kids that were able to finish up the kids that, in the past, it was like a fire drill in the basketball game. The ball was here, the ball was there, the ref were looking at the bench like, come on, let's get this over. This year, we finished nearly every one of our games improving upon was on the floor. In other words, we increased our lead at the end of the game versus letting the other team chip away. The only game I think was Clover Park where they seemed to come back. Other than that, we increased when the kids came on the floor the last 3, 4, 5. There were some games that they played the entire fourth quarter. The lead always increased. And I think that's a sign of a strong basketball program. In addition to that, this is the first year I can truly say to all the kids that play the JV team that without covering something up or trying to glorify something that maybe doesn't exist, I can truly say to every kid that you belong to this program again next year. Every one of these kids has the ability to, whether it be at the varsity level or the JV level, to play another year of basketball. And in the past, that's how I've been that way. In the past, I've said, I had to tell kids, maybe high school basketball isn't where you belong. You work hard, you're a great kid, but yet your abilities may not take you where you want to be next year. This year's team, I would have said any kids, all the way down to the bottom, 1 through 13, all these kids can truly play basketball within our program next year. Okay, with that, I'd like to hand out the JV certificates and then get to some awards. I feel better about this person's year this year than last year. Not to say that he accomplished more, even though he did. Last year, I think us as coaches made some mistakes with Joe. And that we had him here, we had him there, we had him halftime here, halftime there. And by the end of the year, Joe wasn't sure where he was. This year, we made a decision that it was very important because of what we had seen happen to Joe last year. Because Joe's going to play junior varsity, he's going to play every quarter. He's the one we're going to go to on this team, it will be Joe's team. And Joe responded with a leading score. And if you've seen where Joe scores from, he's out there. And in addition to that, Joe managed to shoot 52% from the field. And where Joe shoots from, that's quite an accomplishment. So that Joe Sheldon. This individual has continued a line, and I hope it continues to continue, of good point guards at the JV level. Had Pat not been here the last 2 years, I don't believe last year I would have had Mark McDonald as much as I did, and this year I certainly wouldn't have had Mark Shelburne as much as I did. Mark's a true point guard. To be a point guard, you have to be, one, unselfish. Second, you have the ability to see the floor. And thirdly, and I think this is sometimes overlooked, you have to have the ability to have the confidence in yourself that you're doing what's right and not listen to what some of your teammates are saying. Like, how come I'm not getting the ball as much as so-and-so did? Some people will never be point guards because they are so concerned with what their teammates think. And Mark goes out and plays basketball and plays the game. He reacts to the game rather than coming into the game and saying, this is what I'm going to do tonight. The game just goes, Mark sees somebody open, he gets the ball. Doesn't know who that is. The man's open on his team, he gets it. Mark, this year in assists, doubled the previous record that we had for assists in JV record. The record was in the 60s before, and Mark was in the 100s. And so that's quite an accomplishment. So Mark Shelburne last year. Okay, Daniel, another junior. Daniel's played 2 years of JV basketball, but yet every game for those 2 years, there hasn't been a game every week where he played 4 quarters. We've always had Dan available for 1 quarter at the varsity level. The reason for that, at that situation at the varsity level where you need someone in Dan's position, you need someone that's going to go into the game and compete. And Dan's a competitor. And there was one game in the last 2 years, and it still sticks out in my mind, of last year at Sumner, where we ran into this situation that Dan was there for at the varsity level. And that is, we get in foul trouble, we lose people, we need somebody that's going in and go compete. And last year at Sumner, down there in their gym, that's where Dan was. He stepped off the bench, went in and competed, did a great job. And that's the type of person Dan is. Dan's greatest strength is that he's a competitor. So Dan went. And for some of the young people that are here, I remember as a ninth grader, last year, unfortunately, Coach Bill and I were seeing a lot of the junior high basketball games. I say unfortunately because that meant our season was over and we were down watching the game. This year we didn't get to see nearly as many. We had other things to take care of. Well, last year I was at Cedar Crest watching games. Who's the big kid that's always on your bench? That's Thor. Thor started showing up in the gym in the spring, in the summer, was there in the fall, was there the first time at practice, and no longer, we could not imagine how during his 9th grade year he wasn't a starter at Cedar Crest. Evidently something that he did and made a difference between the end of his 9th grade year and the beginning of his sophomore year. But it didn't stop there. Thor continued to improve throughout the season. There was one day, first week of practice, where I didn't know if Thor was going to be a part of our program. Didn't seem to be with him. He turned himself around, had a talk. 3 games into the season, I look back at my scorebook. Thor didn't even play in the 3rd game of the season for us. That's where he was. At the end of the year, there was really no one more valuable in his role than Thor. First one off the bench, and oftentimes he'd come off and couldn't get him out. He came in and made a difference. But above all of the season, if there was any one person that benefited from us playing an additional 4 weeks and going on to the Coliseum, and us getting 4 more weeks of practice, is Thor, because excited about where Thor will be next year if we can continue what we're doing. Good job. Our next certificate is to another player that, much like Thor, seems to love the game and is always finding opportunities to play. Lance is a self-made player. Lance has spent, I would hesitate to say, Lance has spent more time improving his game than anyone in here. Lance works on his weaknesses rather than just continues to improve his strengths. And so that's a real key to seeking out to improve your game. A lot of us are really good at saying, I'm a good shooter, and so shoot all the time. Those that really want to improve and make a difference next year will take a good look at themselves and say, where are my weaknesses? And work on those. That's not as comfortable, but that'll get them further. And I know Lance will do that. That's that person who is. Good job, Lance. Another person in our program that, as I look through the teams that we play this year, no question that the people that I had on my team that were not getting all the playing time, no question that had they attended the other schools, that's who we would have been competing against all throughout the game. And that's a tribute to our program, but even more so that's a tribute to the individuals. We have good players all the way through our line. Hard worker, this individual really was not willing to accept where we were willing to put him. After 3 turnouts, we were asked as coaches to make a cut from our team down to 24 players. And this was one person that was right on the border, and from decision time, we felt like we would let this person go. Next morning, 7 o'clock, I'm in my room, and there he is. And he says, Coach, if anyone quits, or if there's any other opportunity for me to play, I'd like to play. I've never had a player do that. Most players leave that situation where we have to get cut, and it's nothing but so-and-so, Mr. Ball, Mr. Mullen, and their parents for this and that. It's just not a comfortable situation. Not this person. He said, I still would like to be part of it, and he did a nice job for us. So Chris Boyd, I appreciate you so much. Joe's year last year, I think Dave's year this year would fit into the same situation. Moving up and down. Where does Dave fit in? Is he is the JV team his team? Is the varsity team his team? There came a point where we looked at and discussed mid-season. We always try to evaluate where we're at this season. And we thought, let's not do with Dave what we did with Joe last year. Because where does he belong? And at that time, we had some kids struggling at varsity level. And we were coming off some losses that were, we felt, devastating to our season. It was time to make a decision. The minute we moved Dave up to varsity, all of a sudden, some people started playing a little bit better. And I believe that the presence of Dave being there and them knowing that they didn't get their act together, that Dave was just going to leapfrog over them, that really contributed to some of the kids in our varsity level kind of making a second season surge. It really helped us as we go toward the playoffs. I apologize if we didn't then figure out and say maybe Dave had any more playing time where we were, but I believe if we would have moved you back where we were, 3 quarters and 2 quarters, those kids would have relaxed again, and you may not have gone as far as we did. So nice job, Dave. Okay, I hand out to the kids, I compile some statistics, and I keep track. In 5 years I've been here at Bethel, and I have some names in here of some kids that have been outstanding. Jeff Hayden, Mike Flowers, Scott Keller, Ron Almost, Chris Olson, some kids that have really been outstanding players for our program at JV level. And as the kids go through this, and the parents go through this, you'll notice that at the top, or near the top of nearly every record that is in this booklet, and every statistic that is in our program this year, at or near the top is Trent. Trent is an outstanding basketball talent. At the coaches meeting, where they select the league all-stars, the one player that they discuss next season, and who the kids off the junior varsity teams can contribute this year, and unanimously, the coaches throughout South Sound asked him about Trent. in our gym one day, as a college coach is coming down to see some of our seniors, and he pulled aside and he asked me about Trent. Coach Billings at TCC has asked me about Trent. There's no question that Trent can be an outstanding player, and he will be. Because again, Trent's got a little bit of this fever, and he knows some of the kids, and he wants to play and improve his game, and he's blessed with an awful lot of talent. So I look for Trent to definitely be a part of that program. Nice to meet you. Award individual I'll present tonight, because of here. Carlos was our captain all year, and there's no other way to describe Carlos other than the fact that, when you think of someone that should be your captain, this is Carlos. He's a leader, but yet a quiet leader. He's not a complainer. He's an encouraging type person. He does unselfish works to improve himself, and more importantly, I think he presents himself to the officials on the floor as being a gentleman. And above that, he's an outstanding basketball player. He had a great season. He was our second leading rebounder, and yet he wouldn't be our second biggest person. So Carlos had an outstanding year, and we appreciate our captain, Carlos. Are voted on by teammates, and then one of the awards is a award that's selected by the coach. Okay, the first award is titled Outstanding Junior Varsity Player. So the past winners of this award have been Mike Flowers, Scott Feller, Jeff Hayden, all players that in the next year were starters at varsity level. This year's JV Outstanding Player led us in scoring. The shooting percentage was 52%. He was a consistent basketball player, outstanding defensive player, and just had an excellent season. His name is Joe Sheldon. Voted on by teammates is called the Outstanding Sophomore Award, and those eligible for this award are junior varsity players. We've had some outstanding sophomores. They were varsity players that never received this award. Some past players that received this award: Brad Ludwig, Mark Kingstead, who's last year? Mark McDonald. Again, kids that were starters at the varsity level. They weren't kids that achieved and their careers ended at the JV level. They went on from there. And this year's winner of this award, as voted by his teammates, very deserving, because not only was he a scorer, a defensive player, but most importantly, he was our point guard. He was a key to our team, and that's Mark Sheldon. It's this banquet tonight. I really, most banquets for me, I have a real feeling of, a real up feeling. And this year, I had as I sat here tonight, and as I approached this banquet during the day, I couldn't really put a finger on where my feelings were about the team, about the banquet. And this thing, I feel a lot of emotion, because there are, so the seniors this year all played through my program. Even past students were ninth graders coming up and playing with our JVs for 2 weeks until we found out that was illegal or something. They were there, and I spent 2 weeks with those kids, and all the other players spent a full year in the program, seniors. So the seniors, that meant a lot to me, that these kids seemed to carry a little bit more on my emotions. And then the fact that Mrs. Jones was going to be here, and I felt it would be really nice to see her again, and everything that she and her son have been to our program. And then this award is the Mark Lucas Award. Every year I go through this, and it's just a tough thing. Mark was a player. He played 2 years at Baby level. He started every game for the first 2 years that I coached. I can describe him in many ways, but I think in one word, to me as a coach, he was a friend. A lot of players play for you and they're players. Some people players play for you and they're friends. Mark was a friend. We honored him with an award with his name on it. In the past recipients have been kids that we look at it as competitors and people that seem to rise above outside influences, just come in and play and compete every day. This year's recipient of this award is also that type of person. But this year's recipient also, I felt worthy of this award because of where he began to where he ended up. And he was able to overcome a lot of where people were saying he should be. You know, maybe you don't belong here with the team. Maybe you don't belong where you are. And yet, he practiced hard, worked on his game, and my goodness, by this season, he is an outstanding basketball player, and there's no question that he will be a part of our program next years. So I really feel pleased, and I hope you feel honored to receive this award. The Mark Lucas Memorial Award is for Thor Atkinson.
Gone from good to excellent, and he is one of the main reasons. He's one of the main reasons. He listens to me, and I believe in warning. One time I put these many players down the JV level. I lead a lot of good players that Coach Paul can develop. Okay, just real quick about our season. I won't go into stats or anything like that because really this team wasn't one of stats. We're 28, took second in the league, third in district, 7th or 8th in state, won't quibble one way or the other. The important thing is how we got there, how to play. And the main thing is this team wasn't one that got all that up with stats. Many people that saw him play wondered how they got where they got if they saw him play a game year. The basic thing was the seniors and how they were brought up and how they felt about playing. The bottom line was a W, and that was it. And say anything you want, I've coached for 25 years. I don't think I'll ever have a senior group that sacrificed what they have. I've never had one since. I won't say I'll have one because I've never had one. I've never had one that has given themselves. That I think the main thing is this with these people is the team was not stats. The team, the first thing were they had one dream. We didn't have any goals. I believe in self-motivated people. You've got to be a self-motivator to be an athlete. If you're not a self-motivator, you better not be able to go. If I have to motivate a lot of people to play, then we're in problems. People are self-motivated. So my success, Coach Paul said, you know, we didn't have one team meeting this year. That's great. Because they played on the court. We didn't have to have a team meeting. Any little problem they handled. Beginning of the year, first meeting, I told Scott Speller, I said, how long is it going to be, Coach? I said, 5 minutes. We were out in 2 or 3. He did a great job. All I did is held up a piece of paper, and I said, at the end the year, if I can hold this piece of paper up at the end of the year like this, we're winners. And what I mean by that is just like David King said. David King said good after we moved him up and down, took the browse around and everything else, and all of a sudden piece of paper like that's gone. Then we could have had somebody else. When I had 5 starters, all of a sudden Mark McDonald, Scott, and where it started. They could have browsed around, papers tore again. All of a sudden Steve gets hurt, Mark starts, Steve comes back, Mark's not browsing around, Steve's on the bench rooting for everyone else. And they weren't worried about who did this or who did that. The main thing they had was a piece of paper at the end. No meetings, no nothing, they got the job done. The other thing is, they allowed space. First senior group I had that allowed space. They had their space. They weren't afraid to let the underclassmen come in and take some of that space. They welcomed people to help. They encouraged. They encouraged Jamal, Carl, Mark McDonald especially, those 3. Didn't make them tough on the sophomore. Maybe because a couple sophomores might have had it tough a little while back. I don't know. But they didn't make it tough. They encouraged them, and plus the sophomores and the juniors responded. They responded. It's very hard for seniors to give that up. Very hard for seniors to do that. To allow that people to come into their territory. When you're not running a team, you don't have senior leadership. The seniors are what will do it. Plus you need strong seniors too. Then you need, at the end of the year when you're going to the final 8, you need a sophomore who's no longer a sophomore, but a junior. And that's another thing. The space they allow. And you'll see when we talk a little bit about it. They encourage one another. There wasn't a time I can remember I'd get on somebody, didn't have to kick him out almost. And Coach Paul said, hey, they want you to kick him out, you better outsmart. So what I did said one time is I said, hey, if you don't do the job, we're coming back at 6:30 at night. And so then they figured that wasn't going to work. That was Coach Paul. He said, hey, you better just say, come back at 6:30, you got the job done. But there wasn't any belittling. They encouraged Brian. And Brian, I remember once, he let him go someplace, see him have his uniform, somebody else have this, and they encouraged Brian. They knew Brian had done something, but yet they weren't going to get on him. They were encouraged. That was my job. And I got on him. They didn't side Brian, but they encouraged him. Hey, Brian came back and he did a job for us. You don't find kids that are that unselfish in sports very often. And when you do, you're going to have a winner. The other thing is, they were happy for one another. They were happy for one another. Hey, I know, I can attest to the fact that some people scored some points years gone by, they were upset even if they won or lost. And they were happy for each other's success. And that is another thing. That's why they have more W's than L's. And that's why they'll have all the W's on through their life. They won't have, they'll have L's. They'll have a heck of a lot more W's in their life. The other thing is, two things is, they have a lot of pride to win. And I told this group here together, if there's any one thing that seniors will give to juniors and sophomores, is they have a fierce pride to win. They're going to win, and people talk is cheap. And that's something these seniors did not do much of. They have earphones, or they did this, they did that. They were going to attend business. They went in, they encouraged one another, tied their shoes, went out, and did the job. And that is going to be hard to replace. Everyone can say he will be back next year. And if you look at what we got, compared to what is leaving, we should be. I don't mean that derogatory. Because when we played Garfield, I felt like we had a lot of chef's opponents, which means they're stubborn, tough. We would jump this high, they jump that high. We got beat by thoroughbreds. And everyone got beat by thoroughbreds. But you watch the video, and we're the only team that went after how it should have been gone. Mountain View got swamped, Coors didn't even run their game. And they went and they worked at it. Somebody would have said Tim McDonald's going to be a starter in the final 8 as a 9th grader, or even last year, not one of you would have took that bet. Not one of you would have took that bet. We doubted them with our size and our strength when we walked on the court. When we went out, we got rid of Garfield, Walla, Kent Ridge, whatever. I think we took them by surprise, and by the time we got ahead of them, we said, God, this isn't supposed to be happening, or whatever. And then we just beat them. Because they knew they were going to win. It's the most fun team I've ever coached. I'm not going to say it's the most talented. I'm going to say it's the most fun. Because one, they were intelligent individuals. And they understood what was right and what was wrong, and they handled what was supposed to be done. And like I said, if the South Florida team is going to go after it, like these guys did, we'll be there. One nice thing about basketball is I need 5 people, plus 8, 9 coach ball. And we've got great kids in our program. Like Coach Ball said, everyone who played JV ball, equal, turns out again next year. I told Carlos and Sam, there's no way I'd ever cut Carlos, so don't worry about being cut. Just play and play hard, and you're going to play 3 years. Don't worry about your game. Because those are the type, if you don't have, those are the type of kids that are going to win for you. They went on that, and the other thing that I liked about them is they had one thing. I have to keep working on my classes. Is they, 2 seniors, Steve and Pat, when they were sophomores, missed it by a 1-second shot to hear the green, they wanted, I wanted, gentlemen, let's play ball. First game of the year after we played, whoever it was, I put up on the board, I want to hear that. That's the only goal we have. And that, I think, was Steve and Pat's green, then all of a sudden it got to Scott's green, and Tim's green, then it got to 15's green. That's they were going to get there no matter what they did. There was a time in the middle of the season, but I didn't think we would get there. After the Kinder game, we sucked it up. I thank the cheerleaders, and I thank how they got together on their own, and then I thank Mr. and Mrs. Jolly and Chris Jolly, because Chris Jolly sparked us. And Jim and I will say that we want to write a thank you note to the Jolly family, because I think that was one a ballot game and turned our season around. And because they did get us going. So instead of the other way, I think that's one reason why we're going to call sin. It got people upset. But that was why we won theater, and they did talk about it. People talk a good game, but you got to put it on the board. Thor did that. That's why he's included. When we talk a good game right here, you better go down to the gym and practice the game. I've got two things I want to read that I really think it epitomizes first the seniors and then the team. It just says, it's called the Sportsman's Prayer. It says, "Dear Lord, the battle that goes on through life, I ask for a field that is fair, a chance that is equal with all this right, and the courage to do it to dare. And if I should win, let it be my goal." And then it says, "And if I should lose, let me stand by the road and cheer as the winners go by." That's what we did. We played hard, and hey, we got beat. There was no bad feeling. Only one time, and that's against the team down below. But then it says, "And Lord, may my shout be unrelenting and clear, a tribute that comes from the heart. And let me not cherish the scarlet, our play and sin in part. Let me take off the hat of the warrior who rode to the victory splendid and high. Hey, Lord, teach me to stand by the side of the road and hear the winners go by." All I'm saying is, you fought hard. And then you would congratulate people. And that's a winner. That's a winner. And in order to do that, you have to understand yourself. That's why a lot of people can't do that. Then before I pass out this deal, I came up with these two, by the way. Last time I read that is when I had a special team. You know, with there with Steve Bicon, who didn't have to come down to the River game and such and shake our hands. This year's the men on the bench. The men on the bench is kind of appropriate because it's LSU basketball. LSU happens to be in the Final Four. LSU kind of had the same type of season we had. We met to start, a little bit of problem at the beginning, in the middle, and now they're in the Final Four. So this is from Dale Brown. It won't read it all, but it says it takes more than 5 players to make a winning team. The starting 5 can win a game, but it takes the whole team to win the championship, to go all the way. The team is really like an iceberg. You see the starting 5, but underneath it is all that big, wide, strong base. The rest of the team. This is the part of the team that builds the character of a lasting winner. The more dedicated the man on the bench, the harder he works, the more he pushes and strengthens the starting player. The higher he pushes, the iceberg out of the bottom, the bigger he gets, the better the team. If he quits, doesn't give his all, and becomes complacent in his position, he erodes that strong base and erodes the character of the team. It continues on. The bottom is when the game is over, when the season ends, and all the fans and sports writers are talking about the top of the iceberg, the stars and the heroes, the players will know that the real winner is the team, the whole iceberg, especially the base. The men on the bench who built the character to make the team a lasting winner. And again, that was what we call the red group. We've never had a group like that. We've never had a group that was on the bench cheering and yelling as strong as they were. In fact, one of them almost got a technical foul because he was so excited. And it wasn't easy to do that. But in those 4 weeks that they were with us, this is the first time we have never, ever had to call in Lloyd Allward, Larry Carlson, Jim Ball to be on the red group to help us out. And I saw that red group get better and better and better. There's some people on that red group that if they keep playing, keep working, are going to be tremendous basketball players. And then those people on the red group remember what the gray group gave you. One thing is, like Mark Shelburne, you have to go up against 2 best guards in state, day in and day out. And then for a breather, you've got to go against what we call, or I call my old friend Mark McDonald. got to go against him. Mark Shelberg got to go against probably 3 of the best guards around. Never once did he hang his head, pout, one out. He did not become invisible. Danny and David, Steve and Pat hated to see those two come after him. And that is why the grade group was as good as they were. Because it takes the whole team. It takes the whole team. And I would like to thank right now the 5 seniors personally, and with the sophomores and the juniors, I would hope, and I know you will, because we have a great group coming, to keep on the tradition these people have got going. Started with Herb, started back to Matt Pfeiffer, David Morgan. You see that sign of people up there. There's a lot of great kids. A lot of great kids. There's now 37 in 8 years, 41. I want to give out a couple of awards, and I want to do something a little different. Sherry Teal was our staff lady. She is not here. The fearsome threesome are doing something, I don't know what. But Sherry Teal and Lori Majors and Molly Mullen. I think the 3 of them know the best looking guys on the all-foreign team. I don't think they knew all the guys who were good looking at all the team. We had to train our managers. At the beginning of the year, we were in trouble. We were in trouble. And I didn't think it was going to get much better. First away game, we lost every set of uniforms. I thought we didn't have any uniforms to play the rest of the year in. We managed to find those. But the 2 Roy boys, I don't know what it is, we're always going to marry 2 Roys. But our 2 Roy boys, Andy was here, and his sidekick Vernon really came and did the job. The 2 of them together really, I think what they did is they got too enthused about watching the game a lot of times and forgot about some of the other dudes. But I tell you, by the time they're seniors, oh, I don't know, I always lose, well, there's Vernon. I thought you were gone. Okay, but there it is right there. That's the sidekicks right across. Okay. They think now, since they always have a hoop on their own, now they think next year they're going to turn out. So they're both going to turn out. But if they happen to get cut, we can be the managers again next year. But the 2 sidekicks come up together and get their award. Next person, he got a JV award, but we had already decided to go get a varsity award. And where he was, I don't go by quarters. I don't like quarters. I like contribution. I don't like stats. I like contributions. I like the W. And David was there. David did his job. He contributed. Hey, he made our team good. And like Coach Paul said, on another team, he would have been a starter. And Dave did the job. The only time I got a little upset at he and his buddy BK was in the Garfield game when they thought they were going to shoot the 3-point plays up. They saw the green line. I know what it was. They were in a Sonic thing. They saw the green line and they were going to go for 3-point plays. But, hey, they did a super job. Super job getting people up. feathers. Looking forward to next year. Dave, thanks, Dave. The next young man, I heard all sorts of things about him. In fact, I'm still getting asked about it. He says, how's Carl? He's great. I said, has he done this? No. You? No. And it's just great to have around. He's won an award that I hope he wins for 3 years. I hope Jamal goes after him so he doesn't win it for 3 years. We had a meeting picking an all-state game and such, and we had 25 coaches. And all 25 can start naming like top 10 sophomores, such things like that. His name was up right away. He's got tremendous talent, he's got a tremendous head, and what he's got to do is keep the head, the hat size and burn so it fits the Seahawks, and which he will do, and he's got a tremendous future. He works extremely hard. He didn't come in to demand space, he earned space. And there's a difference. He earned space. Didn't get it, earned it. Carlsbad. The next one is his BK friend across the way. And like Coach Paul said, the time we're going to have somebody come in, we needed somebody that could compete. Dan competed. The time he stepped on the court in practice. This time he lost all his coach ball after practice. And he would not ever give anything but his best. He contributed by helping other people get good on the great group. Plus, almost is the one that got me a tee on the bench with his towels. But hey, I'd rather have something like that than somebody that sits. Daniel. This young man, near the end of the year, he was always, he was up, then a little down, up, a little down, and finally at the end of the year, he leveled, and he really went after it. And when we got to the districts and regional, and finally when we got to state, as the competition got tougher, Mark really came to life. And again, he was a great sixth man because we could put him in at any spot. And Mark handled that well. I sometimes think underclassmen have to handle things more than seniors. Because sophomores and juniors have got to learn to handle some things so they can understand when they're seniors. Mark handled things extremely well. And when Steve got hurt in the South Kitsap game, Wet did the job. When Steve came back, Mark could have very easily said, hey, I did great. Why am I not starting? took him aside and said, Steve, starting, you go in, you do the job, and your goal is not to come out. He slammed dunked over a lead. No, what do? You blocked knee shot. I still have it on videotape now, Wilson. I don't think Bobby Lee understood that our albino guy could get up that high. And he was looking at that shot and was wondering just how he got that high. And then he comes down and gets a breakaway stuff shot. I mean, he has just tremendous athletic ability. And I look for him from an 8, about 6 or 7 points a game, into strong, serious double figures next year. Not only that, rebounding, he took Brock Workman 2 times, shut him down. And he's going after that again next year. What I like about him is at the end of the year, we couldn't get him to talk. Now he's starting to learn to talk, he won't shut up. But the thing about Mark, at the Kentridge game, last Kentridge game, he comes over and he says, we're in a 2-3 guy matchup. He says, let me have Tom Robinson. And he had 4 fouls at the time. And I said, good idea. I said, Pat had 2 or 3. I said, Pat, he says, no, let me have him. I won't foul. So we have it on video, and Robinson did not see the ball. Did not see it. And so Mark, next year, is going to be up this high. And we'll see a 2-handed stuff. You got this. Come on, Mark. This guy, we nicknamed Sleepy Floyd. Ever seen Georgetown play before? They were really good. And now he's in his pros. They had a guy who still is playing by name Sleepy Floyd. And kind of shuffles on and shuffles off. You kind of have to shake him down when you see he's awake. But if you watch him, he is extremely quick. Extremely quick, first 2-3 steps. That's all you need in basketball. After that, guys pass. But the first 2-3 steps, the ball is there. And he's got very quick hands and a very soft touch. Jamal's another kid that worked up to starting, all of a sudden was not starting, did not hang his head, did not foul, did not moan and groan, but came back and played. In fact, in the Garfield game, I'll fault Coach Hall. But both of us forgot. We got so enthused and doing something, we forgot about Jamal, even being on the bench. And he didn't play very much in the Garfield game. And after the game, I said, Jamal, our fault. He didn't say, yeah, right, it's your fault. Screwed up. I should have been in there. Blah, blah, blah. Next game, he comes back against wall up and just plays outstanding. Didn't fade. It did. Should have. But it didn't bother the point that he didn't go play. Jamal, I've had people tell me he'll never play. And I said, he is a player. Jamal will put the time in, Jamal will be a player. Jamal will be a damn player next year. He's got good goals. Jamal Barker. I think good programs have good tradition. And I think it takes 8 to 10 years to get good tradition started. I think that's an advantage. I think a coach in 5 years can get some enthusiasm going. I think 8 to 9 years you start getting players and start getting good tradition. You start looking at the Lincolns and the Garfield and the Mercer Islands. Lincoln's going down because the coach is not there anymore. And you look at the building coming back up, still you don't want to play Lincoln because it's tradition. You look at these schools of tradition, and it's not an overnight thing. We have super young people. We have some young ninth graders that are just super. We have Richie Wells, who's an eighth grader. We have some seventh graders. I can tell you fifth graders we have. These people coach them during the summertime. They know the kids they have. We know the kids are coming up. We don't get imports like one school in our district. We do not, like Coach Ball and I were both there. Coach Ball told Clarence play for me, who was the 8th grade coach, going to play Anglo. He has some good 8th grade players. Like Coach Ball said, hey, play, I'm going to play varsity ball. He says, name 2 8th graders that play varsity ball on the varsity level. They named Mike Osland and who else? And Danny Olsen. Those are the only 2 kids that have ever been in 8th grade at Curtis that have played Curtis varsity ball. So like he said, hey, you don't have to worry about good players because they're going to play there anyway. All our kids, I think the youngest 2 are Steve and Pat. Most everyone else has been here ever since they've been in the 4th or 5th grade. And that's what we like. But I like the tradition. Last game, ladies, we're starting a new tradition tonight. Booster of the year. This tradition here, I've been talking about the other class, and I know I've got a couple of young men here. I'd like to hear maybe what their parents have to say about it before they leave. So Tim McDonald, you stay there. Mark, Mr. McDonald, you come up here. I want you to give your award to Tim. It's new. Go ahead. You say what you want about it. Last time someone get a shot. Tell us how to play it. Tell us how to play it.
The thing I remember about him, you know, I might be able to do this, is in 7th grade, Coach Albert will remember this. And I think I learned more coach than a parent when I played. And I watched my son come up the road after the cut. And it hurt, you know. It really hurt. And I realized how important it was for a kid to be involved in athletics. And I said to myself, honestly, you know, I was a little upset with Roy. I said, yeah, Roy, I said, I work with you. You know, how can you do that to me? I think it's going to at least give it away. And I knew deep down at that point we should have been cut. And I knew in the 8th grade, in the 9th grade, I watched him. And I hope, you know, I really hope, like all fathers, was that they make it. And Schmidtke, bless his soul, he tried to start Tim. And I think Tim remembers that. And Schmidtke did it for me. I know he did. And Tim's a smart kid. And Tim would come in for 2 minutes, and bang, he'd be on the bench. And it hurt him, and because he knew what was going on. And I finally would go to lunch, and I said, don't do that to the kid. I said, you know, because I knew when Tim was 9th grade, he was the 9th or 10th man. He wasn't the number 5 man. And the thing I consider that thing, he never quit. The kid never quit. And it's just, you know, every one of you kids sitting out there, you know, if you stick with it. Hey, here's a kid that coach said, you know, who would have ever believed? Hey, Tim McDonald, the Hall of Fame. I'm proud of him, I love him, and that's all I can.
lousy tradition. Heck of that to follow. But I think we'd just like to thank I'm going to have to tell the truth. But he's only been a kid. And I'm real proud that Steve is going to school with him. And I'm real proud of him.
Mr. Allward, come up here for drawing. Will you please? This guy here will build on the father of all guys. With his jokes.
Well, mine's not my kid. I was fortunate enough to coach a kid in 2 sports on junior high. He played varsity football for me and varsity baseball. Outstanding kid, showed all practices, worked hard. I'm glad he stuck with basketball. I think in the 9th grade, he wasn't real sure if he wanted to play in high school, but again, he worked hard, came up. You're right, Mr. Cole, lousy position. And wait till he jumps. Come on.
Rosie, come on up here.
Well, I'm afraid what's really been a thrill for us this year, and a dream come true, I think, for my powerful family. I too am very, very happy that we moved to Bethel. We've been for the school district, and we're happy there too, but this has been a special year. And I'm very happy with Pat's friends and everything that has gone on. I dreamed of my taking a team to the state and trying to war, but I'm here to take a team to the state of Bethel. Coach Moon, the league live, Washington, and I. We've gone through a lot of things emotionally as a family, being a coach and a son, and when they work so well together, it comes to so much together. And it's very, very tough to be coach's wife, and there's nothing.
Toby, you're going to have to continue turning out even if your mother doesn't want to come here or not. I did that, and I will continue doing that, but you know how hard it was for one, and I don't know if I could have got through all 5 of these. We have a couple of awards we have to give out right now. And the first one, I don't want you to come up because what we did this year, instead of getting a lot of little things, we got this better showcase than your names on it. The first award is the Rebound Award. We changed the Rebound Award. We have 2 awards with this person's name on it. We changed changed the award, the rebound award, to the Herb Jones Memorial Rebound Award. And we did that because, hey, Herb rebounded better than we've ever had. He did his job. He got more thrill out of an offensive rebound slam, or just a fierce rebound, and he intimidated. And the only we had at that time is that we have to name that the Herb Jones Rebound Award. At the end of the year, this young man was in second place, and we would not have played 8 more games, we would not have won. But this young man grew, and he has a chance to win it 2 more times. Like I said, Trent, Jamal, somebody challenging. I hope he meets the challenge, so he sees his name up there 3 times, 1 more time than her. Carl Stokes, just stand up. Seattle because Carl wants to get that one that was playing Garza when he's up over the rim with the offensive putback. And I hope next 2 years we're going against Garfield again. This time though, there's a W instead of an L. The next award, this young man won as a sophomore, lost as a junior. We have a rule, you have to shoot 30 free throws. The young man last year shot 31. And so he didn't win it for 3 years in a row. This year, he shot over 80% to the free throw line, was second in the league. The guy who won it shot 40 times. The rule was he had to shoot 40 times. So Brian Lincoln, I believe, won that. Steve was second in the league. Steve won our free throw trophy, and it's up on. You'll be able to see these right now. When we go, Steve Retail won the rebound, and the free throw trophy. Steve, yeah, the next, we'll go steals and assists together. He not only led our league, our team 3 years in steals and assists, he also led the SBSL in assists and steals for 3 years. So, not only that, he led all 3 years, sophomore, junior, senior year. There'll be a long time before that's accomplished again. Pat Ball. 50% field goal percentage. That's tough. 50% field goal percentage as if you shoot. The entire team shot that. Not just one. We had individual, like Carl was 59, Paul was 57, Steve was 53. We had a lot of people in the high 50s. We led the SBSL team field goal percentage. Because we did not take unnecessary or unpercentage shots. Okay. The defense award, first time, again, the defense award is voted on by the team. The defense award is voted on by the team. The team voted not for an individual, but for the team. And that epitomizes what these people felt about one another. In other words, the team won the defense award, not an individual. If you watched how we played team defense this year, there wasn't one guy. When we ran Kentucky or whatever, our traps, it was a team like defense award. won that. Most improved. Again, voted on. And it's the same person. And we have this. And generally, a young underclass will win it. This young man won it as a junior. And he came back again and won it as a senior. And to me, that's an accomplishment because what it's saying is he's going down to Cal Davis next year. And if he keeps staying the same work ethics and he stays to the book and stays to the gym, he'll play for Cal Davis. There's no doubt in my mind. He'll play for Cal Davis. He'll just do that. Mark, I mean, kindergarten. Last one again is voted on the team and by the team, and I would say of all of them, the inspirational was easy this year. Not because of one person, but because it was easy to be inspirational, because there was no really, didn't have to be an inspiration. Everyone was like themselves. I mean, there wasn't anybody that was really problem. It was easy, and I am very proud to say it's Pat Mullen. What I'd like to do right now is pass out the boards that we just went over and Steve Pat just stay where you are. So, David Kingston, will you please come up with this new defense? Okay. Brian Rosen. Tim, most improved, team defense, 50% shooting, Bethel High School. Scott Feller, team defense, 50% shooting. Jamal Barkley, team defense, 50% shooting. Dan Ware's team defense. Mark McDonald, team defense. Carl Stokes, Herb Jones rebound, team defense, 50% shooting. Please give those people one hand. Whether you are up, every year I give 8x10 picture. The seniors are leaving us, and it just says 28, second league, third district, 8th state, AAA, 1986. And yeah. Final 16 WIA participant certificate. I want Mark, would you please just call out these names and hand them out for us?
Excuse my voice. Carlos Bone.
Carlos, come get these. These are for you.
Over. Mark Schubert. Dan Winter. Carl Stokes. Jamal. David Ed. Mark McDonald. Frank. Joe Schubert. Scott Guller. Brian Nicholson. Steve Rivera. Tim Go.
Like we did say, I believe in tradition. To me, the Dex Award is going to be the highlight of every banquet we have in Belmont. It's called the First Jones Memorial Senior
Needless to say, it is truly an honor to be a part of the Kirk Jones Leadership Award. This award has been established to bring honor to an individual or individuals who exemplify the attributes that Kirk Jones possess. What a tribute it is to Bethel High School and its student body and staff to have a friend of the fine, fair diplomat and gentleman Herbie was. Herbie always played hard. He always smiled, even at times when he shouldn't have. However, he was never seen throwing a verbal or a physical blow. No player felt the permission to lose control of himself or the game when Herb was around because one could often hear him saying, listen, that's not cool. He often reminded grumbling or disgruntled players that those words didn't help the team, so his playmates accepted those words and completely. Herb led young ball players to respect themselves in the game through his example of self-pride. He carried himself so well, leaving no one to doubt his attributes and his abilities. He always charged forward and upward, be it to the basketball or at life. Our basketball team this year has been an unselfish team. When it was playing Garfield or Fuller Park, our players brought out the best in each other. There were many young men on our team this year that through every aspect of their lives showed the school and community that they are leaders on and off the floor. This year, our young ball players will once again be led by examples. There are two seniors on the team this year that have shown many ball players everywhere that pulling together and what that can do for a ball team. These two men respected each other so much that they shared every aspect of their game. They understood each other's space and each other's abilities. As Russell aptly said, these two men together made up a Kirk Jones. The one young man always held himself so calm and so erect that no matter what the situation was, he always demonstrated that inner self-confidence that forged ahead and never looked back. He is always in command of his own person in his somewhat private way, and his teammates never doubted his generous lead. He was never boastful, and he always was concerned for the team. What an attribute that a young person would possess that. The other young man is one of the most unselfish players we've ever had at the festival. He is modest, he's humble, and he's always in control. In his quiet and unassuming way, he played the game of basketball with a style and a finesse that we will long remember. As his teammates watched him charge the key, they also watched him improving them to score if they were in a better position. He was often seen giving to others and in return, yes, nothing for himself. His concern was not statistics. He played the game to win. Pat Mullen and Steve Riverdale both brought out the best in every player on the team as well as in each other. Tonight at Bethel High School, it is my extreme privilege to award this honor to those two as they exemplify Kirk Jones.
This is the continuing award. This is for Jones Fincher right here. It'll be on display down at the gym. Plenty of room left for lots of people. Thank you for coming. Oh, you want something?
It's so ironic that these guys should receive these awards because they played with them, and I hope they learn. But you know, more importantly, Cody's death has shown me how many people he's touched in his life. I want to challenge each one of you young men to go out there and say, touch someone, and most of all, love one another. You guys think that you have all the time in the world. That's not always true. Love is things that they know you love. And it is one of the most important things to do. That's it.
you. Thank you.